Hello everyone, welcome back to Chibi and Chill, the anime podcast. If it's your first time here, if it's your first time checking out this podcast, hello, welcome. I'm Ryan, your host. I'm massively into anime, manga, Japanese culture, all that good stuff. So thank you for joining this podcast. Thank you for checking out the podcast and this episode. I'm assuming you're a big fan of One Piece, or maybe wanting to kind of delve into One Piece with this episode. But we'll dive into that in a few minutes. But in this podcast, it's all about anime and manga, right? Talking about your favourite series, in-depth looks at characters, the history of manga, the history of anime, the industry itself, and much more. Basically, everything in between, I'll be talking about it. And in last week's episode, it was all about food in anime, and why I think anime is the reason why I love Japanese food so much. In the episode, you can find some food-related food-themed kind of anime recommendations for you to try out as well. And that episode is available everywhere. So where you found this one, you'll find that one. So be sure to check it out. Remember to subscribe and follow the podcast on whatever platform you're on so you don't miss a new episode. And one more thing before we start and dive into today's subject is, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, or maybe you have Apple Podcasts but don't use it, why not check out the Apple exclusive weekly anime and manga news podcast series I do as well. It's called Chibi Chill Exclusive, and new episodes release every Sunday. I discuss the top 5 news stories for anime and manga for the past week, the past 7 days, and also a weekly anime recommendation for you to check out. If you want to keep in touch and keep updated with the latest news and updates in the anime and manga industries, be sure to subscribe. You can pay yearly or monthly, and there's a 7-day free trial for you to try out as well. So be sure to check that out exclusively on Apple Podcasts. Today's episode is all about One Piece, and One Piece is one of the world's most iconic anime series, and is often considered to be one of those essential anime series that you should often watch, or you're told to watch, if you're into anime or wanting to start anime, and maybe you're starting to kind of dip your toe into the genre. This is the one that people always say you need to check out, One Piece. The series began in 1997 and has continued for the past 20 years and amassed a dedicated fan base and surpassed many, many milestones. One Piece has become, well, it was one of those series for me that I thought wouldn't be for me. I wasn't really into the concept of having an anime all about pirates. I didn't really think it was for me. And one day I decided that I should give it a go and do the traditional kind of 3-episode trial as per tradition and see how I feel about it. And after readjusting to the smaller ratio an older series has, after not kind of watching an older series like that for such a long time, I was hooked. But I don't think it was from episode 1. I think it must have been episode 2 that I was hooked. And One Piece is now one of my favourite, if not my favourite, anime of all time, alongside Demon Slayer. However, Demon Slayer is much newer, and One Piece has that kind of nostalgic it's grown throughout the ages kind of vibe to it, which is really, really nice. And in this episode, I kind of wanted to dive into 20 facts you didn't know about One Piece, the background of the series, facts about the characters, the original plans of One Piece, and much more. So there's some kind of more in-depth facts and some slightly more fast-paced ones, but hopefully you'll learn something new about the series. And if this is your first time kind of checking out One Piece or diving into the world of One Piece, please make sure to just make a note that there are some spoilers in these, so do be aware if you're kind of new to the series. So without further ado, let's dive into our first fact of the episode. Our first fact is all about Zoro, the moss-headed swordsman, and he was originally supposed to be a part of the Buggy pirate crew. So that would have been really bizarre, wouldn't it, seeing Zoro not pair with Luffy from episode 1, and instead part of the Buggy pirate crew, which, knowing how Zoro kind of acts, would have been very, very bizarre. Our next fact is that Oda revealed the country of origin for each character in One Piece if they belong to the real world. So Monkey D. Luffy will be from Brazil, Usopp is South African, Nami is from Sweden, Zoro is from Japan, Frankie is American, Nico Robin is from Russia, Sanji is French, Chopper is from Canada, and Brooke is Austrian. So there's a very diverse range of nationalities that Oda kind of thought about for these characters, which is really interesting, and it kind of shows the depth of the world, I guess, when you think about how big the One Piece world is and how wide-ranging ours is from nationality points of view. Fact number 3 is that despite Edward Newgate having no beard at all, he's called Whitebeard due to not having a word in Japanese for beard or mustache. There's only one word, and it's shige, which means facial hair. Fact number 4 is that author Oda decided to change Sanji's name because of the confusion around 2 characters. So at first Sanji was going to be named Naruto. The confusion is clear now, obviously, but then Oda changed his name after rethinking it and to avoid any confusion among the fans of the anime series of Naruto, which obviously that makes sense. So fact number 5 is all about Goldie Roger and his last words specifically. So there were words that were written on a piece of paper that a real pirate called Oliver Lafasseur, which was a French pirate, threw from his necklace into a crowd before being executed. We carried this on with an actual fact about Oliver in fact number 6, which was when he was led to his execution, Oliver Lafasseur told people, and I quote, "Find my treasure, ye who understand it," unquote. And some members of his former crew found some of the treasure, but most of it remains unidentified to this day. Fact number 7 is all about the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and Luffy was chosen as one of the official ambassadors for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And funnily enough, a player at the Olympics even did Luffy's signature second gear pose before their match and ended up winning the gold medal for that event, which is incredibly kind of weird to have that kind of pairing together. Our next fact number 8, may be a bit more well known, and One Piece holds a Guinness World Record for being the comic book series, even though it's a manga, I know it's a manga, the thing is for comic books, with the most copies published for the same series by a single author. So with around 321 million mangas sold from 1997 to 2014, it's no surprise, is it, that it has such a huge following with those numbers, and I believe it's still the holder of the Guinness World Record. Fact number 9 is that Oda did share himself and state that Usopp is the weakest character in Luffy's crew, unquote. So it's not Nami, and many people think it is Nami who is the weakest member, but it's not true. Usopp is quite powerful in fights, especially with all the trick balls and things like that, but when it comes to ranking, he is actually the last, and which is surprising to me. I myself thought it would have been Nami, but it's actually Usopp. Fact number 10 is a little bit of a longer one, and in 1996, while working as an artist assistant, Oda created 2 manga stories named Romance Dawn. They featured One Piece's protagonist, Luffy, trying to become the king of pirates, very similar, and these stories became the first chapter of the One Piece manga 1 year later, and that's how the story of the Straw Hat Pirates began. Fact number 11 is that Robin is the only member of the Straw Hat Pirate crew whom Luffy didn't actually invite himself to join the crew. She kind of just invited herself, which, do you know what? She's cool. You'd accept her anyway. Fact number 12 is a very short one, but it's that King Round and Death are the 2 brands of cigarettes that Sanji smokes. So our next fact kind of makes up for how short that last fact was, and fact number 13 is that the characters of One Piece have been used as animated models for Armani Exchange multiple times, and in 2009 they joined forces to promote the 10th movie of the franchise, One Piece film Strong World, and Luffy became the first manga character to appear on the cover of a Japanese fashion magazine called Men's Non-No, and that's the first time throughout its entire 24 years of publishing. And this was also the first cover design Oda had done that was not for the manga, which is very cool. I guess it's a first for everyone in that one. And in the magazine, real models posed as the manga's characters in nautical-themed attire, and the partnership returned in 2012 for the release of One Piece film Z, and this time the characters' outfits were designed by Armani Exchange that were selected by Oda himself, and to expand on the cross-promotion, the outfits were made available for purchase as well. I think this must have been one of those catalyst kind of moments where we see it today there was a lot of hype around the Dolce & Gabbana and Jujutsu Kaisen crossover. There's so much going on for all these different anime and fashion brand crossovers, and now it's seen as one of those, that you see so many high-end fashion brands creating partnerships with different anime franchises, and it's become the norm now. And I wonder if that kind of partnership and the first the multiple firsts that kind of happened with that was actually the catalyst for the fashion that we see today, or more so the partnerships that we see today with anime franchises. So fact number 15 is that according to an interview in the One Piece Blue Grand Data file, Oda claimed to have wanted to become a manga artist, or a mangaka as they're called, at the age of 4 to avoid having to get a, quote, real job, unquote. So sticking to his dream, Oda developed his skills over the years and created various series in his late teens, and his first series, Wanted, garnered several awards and placed second in the semi-annual Tezuka Award for Manga. And following this recognition, Oda landed his first job at Weekly Shonen Jump, and we all know how that story ended. He's become one of the most well-known and famous mangakas, or maybe even one of the world's most famous creative people, or people in creative jobs ever. And I think that dedication just continues through and through today. One of the most easily recognized homages in One Piece can be found in the character Emporio Ivankov. I don't know why I always struggle to say the names out loud. I can read them in my head, it's so easy in the subtitles. As soon as I try to say them out loud, I have no control over the language. So there is no denying that Ivankov's looks and mannerisms are a direct reflection of Tim Curry's Dr. Frankenfurter character from the cult classic Rocky Horror Picture Show. And even down to the costume design and how he kind of acts, it's exactly inspired by that. And it's very cool. There's so many facts that I couldn't quite fit into this, but there are so many references to pop culture, people like these all over the series. So if you do spot them, amazing. There's so many of them. So fact number 17, I have I'm not going to name names because I don't want to make it a giant spoiler, but in 2013, Universal Studios Japan brought two iconic images to life with two iconic characters' graves for their annual One Piece premiere show. As part of the show, memorable scenes and locations were recreated in real life for fans to visit, and these graves were exact replicas of the ones depicted in the story in the manga and the anime, and included a listening area where fans could listen to or hear the two characters speak of some of their famous lines. And if you look at them online, they're amazing recreations and super, super cool. I'm unsure if they're still there, but I'm sure they must be somewhere on display. So with the world of One Piece, I think it's always... every fan has that kind of moment where they think, what devil fruit would I eat? And I'm always kind of torn depending on my mood. And Oda said that if he could have any devil fruit, he would want Robin's so that he could draw manga 20 times faster. And I'm not entirely sure my choice would be work related. However, it does absolutely speak to his dedication. Oda apparently sleeps 3 hours a night, which is 2 a.m. till 5 a.m. and that's it. And then he continues to work. He doesn't take holidays. He doesn't take bank holidays or public holidays off or festivals off. So, this man is absolutely dedicated to the bone to One Piece. And, even choosing his devil fruit, there's a thought behind how can I draw or create One Piece even faster. So fact 19 is that Enel is the main protagonist of the Sky Island arc in One Piece. And I really enjoyed that arc. But he claimed himself as a god of thunder. But Oda stated that Enel is a pirate in the One Piece world, and he also has a bounty of 500 million berries on his head. So last but not least is fact number 20, and few people actually know how One Piece is going to end. And Oda has been very kind of foreshadowing or slightly kind of hints at when we know when it starts to end. And everyone wants to know how it's going to end. And I think we'll all be sad when it does end, but we all need to know. It's been going on for so long that we need to know. Except Oda allowed one more person to know how One Piece will end, and actually it's a child. And Oda revealed the ending of One Piece to a child who was suffering from cancer disease. So that, again, it shows to how much he thinks about the audience and us as fans. And I don't want to make this episode sad, but I think that's amazing, and it speaks about him as a person and his character. So this episode has been a little bit more of a fast fire kind of episode. I really wanted to just kind of dive into One Piece in a different kind of way and share some of these small kind of homages and references, background stories behind some of our favourite characters and the world itself of One Piece. I think it's so easy to kind of miss some of this stuff and not... If you don't have the time to kind of sit and read this stuff, it's kind of nice to have someone else to kind of say them to you while you do other stuff. So I thought it was kind of idea. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've enjoyed kind of either being reminded or kind of finding out new stuff. I have definitely learned stuff from this episode, and I hope you have as well. There are so many more that I couldn't quite fit into the podcast, but maybe I can do a part 2. Let's see. I'm very excited to kind of continue more One Piece episodes. However, I'm trying to keep them not quite so spoilery. However, I have so many kind of episode ideas. So if you want to hear more One Piece episodes, do let me know. If you leave it in your rating and review, perfect. I'll definitely find it. I'll definitely read it. If you send it over to social media, if you find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff, be sure to leave it in a comment or post it or DM me on either of those and let me know what you thought of the episode. You know, I'm making this podcast for you guys, so any feedback is more than welcome. And also, if you have any ideas for One Piece topics you'd like me to cover on the podcast also. The podcast has gained more than 1,100 plus streams now and downloads. So thank you so much for everyone who has listened to the episodes. If this is your first listen, thank you again so much for checking out the podcast. It really does mean a lot that the numbers do go up and I see them every week, and we're starting to rank on different countries, Apple Podcast charts and Spotify charts, things like that. So thank you so much for everyone's support. Thank you for checking out. Thank you for being with me. Thank you to listening to another anime nerd that just wants to share his love for anime and manga. Please do leave a rating and a review on the podcast platform that you're listening on this to. It really does support the show. It only takes a few seconds and it's free. I cannot ask. If I ask one thing of you, I'd ask that. Please do leave a rating and a review. Even if it's not great, please let me know. You know, it's even a bad one. Well, bad press is always... what's the saying? Any press is good press, I guess. Oh, that rhymed. So a rating and a review would be great. It really does support the show, so thank you so much for whatever kind of review you do leave. If you're a mega fan of anime, then why not check out my brand new Patreon monthly subscription club. There are 3 tiers of membership: Chibi Fan, Chibi Super Fan and Chibi Mega Fan, with each tier being better than the last. Each month, for one cost, you'll receive free prints, free downloads and much more, including exclusive behind the scenes videos, photos and more of how I create my prints and anime themed artwork. If you'd like to receive exclusive updates and anime themed goodies every single month delivered straight to you, then why not check out my Patreon? The link's down below. I'm sure you'll love being a part of the Chibi Weeb fan club. Sometimes finding a birthday card or an occasion card can be a boring task. However, I have some anime-themed cards on my Thortful.co.uk creator profile, which is found in my links on social media. Over on Thortful, you'll find a bunch of anime-themed cards, such as Studio Ghibli Happy Birthday cards and more, with my range being updated regularly. Each card is processed by Thortful.co.uk, with shipping being fast, quick and efficient. You can shop my anime-themed cards over on my Instagram, with my links being over on there. Just search Chibi Weeb Anime and you'll find me. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. It really does mean a lot. Please do leave a rating and a review down below. It really does support the show and it's free to do. I'll see you next time. I'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend. If you're a subscriber or if you're thinking of subscribing or starting the free trial on Apple Podcasts, I'll see you on Sunday for the next episode of the Chibi Piece exclusive Apple Podcast exclusive episode on Sunday. Thanks guys. Bye bye.